Hi guys, how you doing? It's Deepak here from the CVGUY. Today we're here to talk about difficult interview questions. So, of course, we've all been there. You may be well on your way to an interview or preparing for an interview that you've got tomorrow, and you want to know how to deal with probably the most difficult question that you're faced, which is, tell me about your biggest weakness. It's a question that we all know and we expect to see and hear about in an interview, and for many of us, I know the feeling. It has you kind of pulling your hair out, really worrying, and just thinking about the best way to approach that question. So I'm going to really just break down that question for you and show you how we can take away all your stress in order to answer that question as effectively as possible. So describe your biggest weakness. Now, the key for this part is, of course, it's something that you perhaps have been told before, is about recognizing what the weakness is and recognizing that there's also a positive to that. It's almost like antagonistic muscle movements, if that makes any sense. So when you flex your arm like this, the tricep stretches and the bicep relaxes. So what I mean is that as there is for every part of good, there is also evil. For every strength, there's also going to be a weakness. So let's take, for example, a weakness as being that you have a tendency to rush. So an example answer could be that sometimes when I get through projects, I have a tendency to go a little bit more quickly than others do. So if we have a deadline that's due in for Friday and it's given to us on a Wednesday, I might get it finished Thursday afternoon as opposed to Friday morning. What happens is that because I rush, sometimes there are some small errors, but the good thing about that is that I always aim to finish and do finish ahead of deadline, so then I spend the last elements of it just running through all of the parts of the project to make sure I can correct all those errors. And what I do tend to find is overall the end result ends up being really good, and that's something that I found to be really useful with the work that I've done. So my weakness there is that I do go and move faster sometimes on average through projects, but I also tend to finish them quickly and then at the end do a review and fix any bugs that I might find. So do you see what I did there? I recognized that there was a weakness that I have, and I wasn't afraid to acknowledge it. One of the other keys here is that when you're acknowledging or talking about your weaknesses, recognize that you have them. There's nothing sometimes worse than getting really nervous and itchy in that situation, because it suggests that you've not perhaps prepared well enough for the interview, and thinking about what your weaknesses are and then being able to answer them directly is a really important key to making sure that you get through that interview question. So let's do one more final example. Let's say now that you have, for example, particularly poor communication skills when presenting in front of an audience. So the interviewer again asks the same question. So, Deepak, my name's Deepak. Describe to me your biggest weakness. I find that when presenting to an audience, sometimes I get very nervous and it's difficult for me. However, what it does also mean is that in one-to-one situations, I find that I'm very comfortable and really good at getting to know people on quite a personal level to the extent that they trust me. And this has proven to be really invaluable when I'm working in the sales field, because typically I'm working on a one-to-one basis as opposed to dealing with many people in a presentation. So do you see there how we broke it down from how the advantage of perhaps being nervous when you're presenting to many people is that you're really good one-to-one. However, of course, let's now assume that the interviewer wants to push that point because you are applying to a role that requires some presentation. So perhaps the interviewer here says, okay, Deepak, that's great. There is going to be some presentation as part of this job, though. I hope you're aware. So let's think about how we would answer that question now. I'd say, no, absolutely, I'm completely aware. And the thing that I recognize is it is a weakness of mine, and to that end I'm actually taking a course on confident communication at the moment, and I'm watching various speakers that I'm passionate about, such as Tony Robbins, who's a really effective public speaker. So do you see what we've done there? What we've done is that we've demonstrated that it is a weakness, and we've laid out specific steps that we're taking in terms of a communicating confidence course. I've just made it up for the example, but as well as looking at a recognized speaker that also the interviewer might know, Tony Robbins. It's really, really important in these situations that you keep cool, keep calm, and maintain your composure so you're able to answer all of these questions confidently. So I hope that now helps you when answering those difficult questions, and good luck with your forthcoming interview. If you want any more advice, go over to thecvguy.com. That's where you'll find me. Thank you.